Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 3.
To order the city council meeting for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Amanda.
Bonnie Shimalunas. Here. Scott Steckmesser.
Here.
Adam Ohusky.
Here.
Darla LeClaire.
Here.
Mark Bittner.
Here.
Shannon Derby.
Here.
Bill LeClaire.
Here.
Doug Brandt.
Here.
Tim Petrie.
Here.
All present.
Thank you for that. We don't have to do number 4 because we're all here. So on to number 5, input from the public. If there's anyone here from the public that wishes to address the council, please step up to the podium on your left. Please state your name and address for the record and give us your input. Input from the public. Seeing nothing. On to number 6, oath of office and badge pinning of Tanner Tomei, firefighter paramedic. And Chief is coming up for that right now.
I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Tanner Tomei, who's our newest firefighter paramedic, for completing his probationary period, which is a 1-year period in which he is tested on firefighting and EMS skills throughout the year. And he's completed it on May 22nd of this year. So the culmination of that is a pinning ceremony in which he receives his badge for his shirt. With him today, he has his mother and father, Joyce and Todd. He has Katia, his wife, his stepsons, Alejandro and Chris. A little bit about Tanner. Tanner is born and raised in the city of Two Rivers. He graduated from Two Rivers High School. He graduated in 2012. He joined the Navy and was in the Navy for a few years, in which he was a gunner's mate and served our country. He went to LTC and was enrolled in the fire medic program, in which he graduated in 2023. He was hired as a part-time firefighter paramedic by us and then eventually hired full-time. He enjoys hiking, golfing, traveling, and working out. So without further ado, his badge.
Deputy, I, Tanner Tomei,
I, Tanner Tomei,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of firefighter paramedic
of firefighter paramedic
for the city of Two Rivers
for the city of Two Rivers
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Well done. Been trying to poach the people. Okay, on to number 7, council communications, letters and other communications from citizens. Anyone have anything? Yes, Adam?
Had a couple, but the one that we mainly want to just touch base on is grass cutting. Some long lawns out there, and I know the police department has been dealing with that all over the city. Jody's been trying to keep up the best she can, but there are quite a bit of lawns that are long. So if that's one of yours, please make sure you cut it before the SRO officer has to come out there. Not SRO, but the code enforcement officer has to come out there. So that's it.
Thank you. Bonnie?
I had one about cats because they don't like the cats roaming around. They kill the birds. She puts bird feed out, and this cat is always in her yard. And sometimes they fight with cats inside of a house 2 or 3 in the morning. I do agree with this because when you let these cats roam and you don't take them in, who looks for their fleas, their ear mites, their matted eyes? I think, anyway, I guess I'm not that important.
They're talking in the hallway, Bonnie. You keep going.
That's it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If 2 citizens have contacted me, one regarding thinks we should reconsider allowing the dogs on the beach early in the morning on the main beach walking. He thinks it's confusing with the policies that we have for the other beach hours that we have available. So he wants us to review that. And then secondly, I had several people ask me questions about this. And actually I asked Brian from our Water and Light to maybe answer the questions better. But they were concerned about the Frontier lines. They wanted to know who is responsible for the cleanup and what exactly they're doing and what's the purpose of this whole thing. So.
Yes, Mark notified me today. He had a few residents get a hold of him. So Frontier is going throughout the city and installing fiber optics, both underground and overhead. What they have done is send out postcards and door hangers. They've gone to various homeowners and just let them know that they're going to be working in the area. There is a number on that flyer. Both engineering and electric department have received phone calls, concerns with the project so far. We've gotten a hold of their contractor as well as Frontier, tried to pass those concerns on to them. So if any of you hear anything from another customer, either notify my department or Matt's department, or have us contact them to give them the number for Frontier. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Anything else? I too had the same thing about Frontier, with them working in the area, and also about grass cutting, letting the lawn grow long too. So same things, popular items this time around. Seeing nothing else, on to number 8, council reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Anyone have any? Yes, Mark.
First thing this morning, I had the privilege of attending the Aging Committee at our senior center and covered a lot of things and talked about the numbers they're generating in senior center. It's very productive and being well used by our community. One of the things that did come up from Melissa, representing our police department, she mentioned that the canine dog force is healthy. The dogs are doing well, an integral part of the organization, and it is assisted funding by purchasing of the 2 dogs. So I took the liberty of asking Chief to bring up 2 of the dogs. The cute little animals are available, make great presents for family, friends, or grandkids. So I encourage the citizens, if they need something, they can pick it up at the police department. It goes for a great cause. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes, Darla.
For Main Street, just wanted to mention that this past Friday morning, there was a ribbon cutting over at the new Pool City Cycles. It's in the 1800 block of Washington. The former Kozlowski Insurance Office is where this is located. Some future ribbon cuttings that are coming up on June 19th. Wildflower Outdoors will be cutting a ribbon. And then the very next day, the 20th, Meridian Wellness, and Awakened Lakeshore. And also on that day is Lakeshore Rock and Gem. We've got the car show coming up. I know they're still looking for volunteers. I think they pretty much have the car show sponsors fairly well covered. And that's what's going on with Main Street. As far as the design committee, the mural is still ongoing. We are looking at some other opportunities for different types of public art that we're exploring. And then for Environmental Advisory Board, we've been working on the website and it's coming along very, very well. It is live right now, but I know we have to do some maintenance on it. But it is with a lot of help from Public Works Engineering. Thank you very much. It's really looking really nice and we'll have a lot of content to put in there. Front Yard Vegetable Gardens, we're up to 5 people or 5, participating families. So that's more than doubled from last year, which is nice. And it's pretty much status quo. We're still looking for opportunities to help push our city forward as far as environmental issues, because we do love to hunt and fish around here. We want to make sure that our environment stays very, very nice for those types of activities.
Yeah, thank you. Tim?
From Public Utilities Committee meeting, the upcoming recycling event for electronics on June 11th from 7:30 to 5 p.m. at 1415 Lake Street. They're asking for people to stay in their vehicles so that they can keep the line moving faster. They'll have people there to pick up your monitors or TVs or whatever you have.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to number 9, Acting City Manager's Report. Ben?
All right, we begin this week with City Manager's picture of a garden along the Mariners Trail. First, we have invited guests. I'll ask Cassie Pater to come up and introduce herself. We had mentioned her at the last staff meeting or council meeting, I believe, and this is her chance for you guys to get to see her. Go right up to the mic and introduce yourself, please.
All eyes are on you right now.
Hi, I'm Cassie. I've grown up in Michigan and spent a lot of summers here in Two Rivers. Lived here on and off for a long time. So I'm happy and excited to start work here and get to know how it all works, and it should be a good time.
Well, welcome. And like I said, Dave did give your introduction a council meeting or 2 ago. So now it's just formally seeing you. Thank you. And next we have an invited guest, Kiana Lubke from Two Rivers High School. And I think Amanda has a couple words for her.
So this is Kiana. She's currently a senior at Two Rivers High School. She's part of the Youth Apprenticeship Program, and she is interested in local government and human resources. So she will help out the HR department and the clerk's office in a variety of tasks, receive hands-on training, and be a part of election administration. We're really excited to have her on board, and we welcome her to the city of Two Rivers.
Next, the staffing update. At least recognizing it this week. I think we're working now. So we have ongoing recruitments, full-time firefighter, paramedic, full-time police officer. There was a question about that. That's to replace an upcoming vacancy, and a library customer service clerk. In addition, we have a new intern here at the police department, Anissa Fensel. I incorrectly said that she was a native of Newton. She's actually a native of Two Rivers, but had grown up in Newton. So I accidentally said that wrong on the news the other day. But she is going to Fox Valley Technical College, and she's a police intern interested in forensic science. We also have the upcoming recruitment for Elizabeth's departure later this week for the economic development / city planner. And next, we'll have the Roosevelt Avenue construction update. I think Matt's got something for us there.
Pretty much it's the same update as 2 weeks ago. Sewer and water is installed for the most part from 12th Street down to 9th Street. Some storm sewer work, and they're working also on the replacement of the water services and sanitary laterals in that same stretch, 12th Street down to 9th Street. Vinton, subcontractor to Mammoth, will be looking at removing the pavement 9th Street down to Lowell in the next, possibly yet this week or up until next week sometime, so that the utility construction to the south can commence as well. So that's the brief update.
All right, and then we had final approval of Amendment 2 to the TID 12 boundaries and project plan received by the Joint Review Board on May 30th. So that's been approved. We've gone over that extensively, but there is a map embedded for everybody's viewing. Joe, did you want to give an update on Explore Two Rivers? Hate to steal his thunder, and then we have a video afterwards.
Recently received good news that we were recognized as a destination marketing organization, commonly known as a DMO. That recognition came from Destination Wisconsin. That's the largest tourism organization in the state of Wisconsin. What that means for us is additional marketing opportunities, being able to participate in co-ops to help bring costs down as we try to expand our brand and Explore Two Rivers. Also creates additional resources for my department at the state level so that I can reach out with other like communities, other tourism organizations. And this designation also corresponded with last week being National Tourism Advocacy Week. Destinations Wisconsin produces a lot of materials on our behalf to educate the community and the state and the nation about the value of tourism and tourism industry on local economies. Ben's got a video queued up for us to see what they produced. This video actually came out last week from Destinations Wisconsin on our behalf.
Let's see if it comes up here decent.
To ensure that tourism in our great state and your local community across Wisconsin, destination marketing organizations are working to ensure that tourism in our great state and your local community is stronger than ever. Their work to drive visitation and enhance the visitor experience not only encourages travelers to discover our great state, it bolsters the economy, supports jobs, and it improves the quality of life for all Wisconsin residents. To learn more about what these great organizations are doing, visit destinationswisconsin.com. Sponsored by Destinations Wisconsin.
Oh, we managed to get it working.
All across the
All right, next, Mike's group has been super busy throughout Two Rivers. I guess he's coming up here to give an update.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We're excited to get a few updates into Washington Park's playground. We ran out of concrete last week, so it pushed us back. We've been mixing our own concrete and doing this all internally on our own. So running out of concrete at the end of last week is going to push us back a few days, but it should be all done this week. You'll notice on here the open area is kind of the main play structure at Washington Park in pretty good shape overall. This bigger area on the side really has a lot of kind of unused space that really wasn't maximized to its full potential. There were 6 swings in there. 8 swings in there, and now there was only 6 because we removed 2 swings, took it out an old teeter-totter, and if you drive by there, you can see the new kind of sea dragon that looks like he's coming up out of the ground that kids will be able to climb on, and then there'll be a pyramid kind of rope climber going in there as well. So really kind of take up some of that space and put it to a little bit better use. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the week, kids will be playing on that. Lots of other things opening up across Two Rivers. We had Splash Pad and the concession stand out in Neshota Beach open on Memorial Day weekend. It has been a very, very rainy May. So we try to keep the concession stand out at the beaches open as much as possible, 7 days a week, 11 to 6. We try to close it up though also when it's raining and nobody's at the beach, just to save on costs. So yeah, look for that to be open. Lots of goodies out there as well. Excited that beach season is upon us. So.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. And I've also seen quite a few kids already playing in the water, the splash pad. So they're not scared of the cold temperatures or the rain when they play the splash pad.
I did see the concession stand open last week where it wasn't the greatest of days, but they were packed because of all the people at the park on the other side.
Yeah. The playground has been swarmed. The new playground. My wife was out there today. She said she saw kids in bathing suits playing on the playground, and that's what we'd all kind of hoped for. Was that kids and families going to run back and forth between the beach and the playground and be able to enjoy that. So that's been fun to watch.
Thank you. Next, the library summer reading program 2024 starts June 10th. Another exciting time at the library. The police department recently had their awards banquet at Woodland Dunes. Thank you to Woodland Dunes. Of those awards, unfortunately, they were just recently because we did have that large missing person that we were dealing with for several months, and we still do. But we had a little bit of time to go ahead and acknowledge those people from last year. That was Jeremy Stadola, who received a Valor Award for risking his safety in the efforts to rescue a child at Neshota Beach. Also a private citizen, Cooper Boy, who received a Chiefs Award for his heroic efforts to save a child at Neshota Beach. Interesting fact with that, very young individual. After that incident, he learned just the seriousness of a situation like that and went on to become a rescue swimmer. So I think that's awesome. Melissa Wiesner received a Merit Award for her role working with legislation for new laws enacted to assist law enforcement and in recognition of becoming 2023's Wisconsin Woman Police Officer of the Year. Justin Krieger received a Merit Award for his quick actions in solving a serious crime and then preventing a Two Rivers person from harming themselves and then getting them the appropriate aftercare. And then Cale Beyer, Amanda Verhelst, Leander Menn, and Jacob Schweigel received Life Savings Awards. And finally, Kathy Schrader was recognized for her 25 years of service and Rob Wandry for his 10 years of service. Upcoming events, a lot of those taking place this year, just kicking off the year. Concerts in the park with Tony Rocker's Elvis. That's Thursday, June 6th, 6 o'clock p.m. at Central Park West. He performs on the Schmitz Brothers stage. Free to enjoy, making a night out, bring a lawn chair and a blanket for everyone. Concessions and the farmers and crafters market add to the festive Thursday night atmosphere. If the weather is bad, like much of these events, they move over to the community house. And again, the farmers and crafters market, Thursday, June 6th, 4 o'clock to 8 p.m. and Saturday, June 8th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Central Park East. There you can get an assortment of fresh fruits, vegetables, honey, flour, and crafts. And as mentioned already, the e-waste recycling event, which even the PD will be taking part in, that's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, the most important thing there is they have the recycling fees on what they will and will not accept and what those fees are, but to remain in your vehicle and they will help you unload those. Another concerts in the park, Jerry Velker and the Jolly Gents, Thursday, June 13th, 6 p.m., Central Park West. That's a 5-piece band that has performed all over the world, and now they're playing in the Schmidt Brothers stage. They're involved in German and Czech polkas, waltzes, and lots more. So again, food vendors, beverage tents, and the craft and farmers market lend to the festive atmosphere. And Friday Night Live, Mockingbird, Friday, June 14th, 7 to 9 p.m. in Central Park West. Again, enjoy evening concerts in Central Park West all summer long as they perform on the Schmidt Brothers stage. And then as a couple of council members had mentioned, grass cutting reminder. So in speaking with Jody Miller, our CSO, Code Enforcement Officer, she has been dealing with a number of these. I believe the last time we spoke, it was up to 40 already on the year. She's now well over 90 that she's been dealing with. So a reminder, you have to have your grass cut less than 8 inches. If she gets a report of that, she will come and spot you, have a talk with you, leave you a reminder that it has 5 days to get cut. If it does not get cut in that time, there is a fine associated with that is hefty, as well as all fees pertaining to the grass cutting itself. So city staff will go over, cut the lawn, and you will be fined not only the fine, but also the amount that it takes to cut the lawn with all the equipment, staff, and whatnot. If you get it cut before that 5 days, it's simply a warning and we move on. If there's a second offense, that is a heftier fine than the first offense fine. And again, the city will cut it and you'll be fined that amount. If it moves on from that, we do look at a public nuisance and possibly chronic nuisance offense, which is in the thousands. Next, thank you to all the city staff that was involved in getting the large flower baskets up on Washington Street. Those look beautiful. And then finally, we have just a little beware of some scams and whatnot out there. Amanda will talk about with third-party mailers regarding elections and some of the questions about those.
We've seen an increase in third-party mailings being sent by a variety of different groups trying to get people to register to vote or register for absentee ballots. A lot of citizens have had questions regarding if they are legit or not. My name is on them, so if they are sent back to be returned, they do come to me. But if you receive one, most of the time they're not sent to anybody specific, kind of a household. And if you are already registered to vote, you can just throw them away. They're, like I said, they're just trying to get people to register to vote or apply for absentee ballots. And as always, if anybody has questions, they can always call the clerk's office.
Thank you, Amanda. In addition, to answer Mr. Petrie's questions last week, we have had extra patrols on the 22nd Washington Street to address the issues of traffic control in that location. So you'll probably get calls or may have gotten calls, but there's been a lot of excess enforcement in that area to take care of the illegal turns, the going straight through that intersection without stopping, all those different violations. I think that's it. Thank you.
And one part of your report reminded me I did have a question, and it pertains with Mike, and that's the Farmer Craft Market that's held on Thursday and Saturday. Is there a fee to join that, and how do you sign up if you would wish to do that? I did get that asked to me over the weekend.
There is a small season fee, and forgive me, I am blanking on how much that is. I think it's $30 or $40, but they should be contacting Rebecca Hansen, our special event and recreation supervisor at the Parks and Rec Department, or just call the front desk at the Rec Department, and they will get you all the forms and everything you need to sign up. So
okay,
we would love to have more people for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
One quick question about the grass cutting. That is front and backyards, correct? Front, back, sides.
Yeah, correct. And I did answer some questions with other council members in that there are frustrations a lot of times with backyards. That is not as easy from a legal standpoint because there is an expectation of privacy. However, if it can be seen and it's in violation, they will still get the same warnings. They'll still get the same time frame to take care of cutting it. However, we may move forward with a fine and then have to go with legal action prior to being able to go in there and cut that lawn. So that's an excessive amount of time, but it will get done. And we have done so in some other cases. But as you can imagine, it's a lot of time and money spent doing those things.
I would just add one thing on the grass. Parks and Rec is responsible, our cemetery mow crews are responsible for going out and mowing those lawns. I think we've all noticed that the significant amount of rain we've had in May is probably contributing a lot to this. So yeah, we're doing the best on keeping up on all of our stuff and the edging and the mowing, and then getting to all of these as well. We've got a lot of mowing to do. So yeah, they're working hard to keep up. So we should hopefully be seeing them get caught up.
And absolutely keep that in mind when we're getting criticisms of city properties sometimes not being cut. That's because they're also inundated with all these other cuttings that we've had to do. So as you can imagine, if you add on 90 cuttings into their already busy mowing, that's what we're looking at. So that's why we're serious about the fines and the enforcement in those actions.
I would add, in a typical summer, it's maybe like 6 to 10 cuttings in a month. So we're way over what we're normally running in a typical summer. So
But we'll continue to address them and stay on them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Also, just quickly, the Police Department Awards Banquet, we didn't give a round of applause, so I think that deserves a round of applause. Okay, thanks, Ben. On to consent agenda. Under A, we have presentation minutes from the city council meeting from May 20th, 2024. Also under B, we have 5 more minutes of meetings for Committee on Aging, Community Pool Ad Hoc Committee, Joint Room Tax Commission and Explorer Two Rivers Board, Board of Municipal Canvassers, and Explorer Two Rivers Board of Directors. The recommended action will be motion to receive and file. Under C, we have finance reports for March and April of 2024 for debt services, general fund, Western Library, and utilities report. Motion will be to receive and file. Under D, we have applications and petitions. We have a temporary Class B license for Two Rivers Youth Sports for Beach Bash located at Neshoto Park, June 28th and 29th, 2024. And also a temporary Class B license for American Legion Auxiliary Unit 165 for Senior Center's 70th anniversary celebration at Central Park West for August 7th, 2024. The recommended action will be a motion to approve the application and authorize issuance of the license. Under E, we have renewal license applications for a period of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. There is a Class A beer license, one of those. There are 4 combination Class A beer, Class A liquor licenses. There are 15 combination Class B beer, Class B liquor licenses. There are 8 of the beer garden permits, 7 of the cigarette and tobacco retail products licenses, and 12 landscape and tree removal licenses. The recommended action will be a motion to approve the applications and authorize issuance of the licenses as provided for in the list submitted by the city clerk and upon satisfaction inspection. We also have a property conveyance for right-of-way related to Wisconsin DOT Memorial Drive Project ID 1470-27-21. The recommended action will be a motion to receive and file. And finally, we do have one for a noise ordinance waiver for Beach Bash 2024 for June 28th and 29th until 11:30 p.m. at Neshoto Beach. Waive the provisions of section 9-2-5B 2B regarding noise audible within an enclosed structure used for residential purposes and section 9-2-5D pertaining to vibration. The recommended action is a motion to approve the noise ordinance waiver. The recommended action for the consent agenda is a motion to approve the consent agenda with the various actions recommended. Looking for that motion. Motion by Bill, second by Shannon. Any discussion? Yes, Bonnie.
I'd just like to make a comment. Some of the minutes read like an agenda, like in the pool one and the one for aging. For example, someone said they researched local communities to see what they did with their pool. I would have liked to have known what they found, but that's all they said, that they researched. It's a small thing, but that's why I read the minutes, to see what's happening. Okay. Your turn.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was just curious. I see Submariners, their license was not there, but they did get a license for a beer garden. I didn't know if that was.
So in order for them to go to council, they have to be on file for 15 days prior to a council meeting.
Okay.
So next council, there'll also be a list of them that did not meet the
Okay.
deadline.
I
for
just
this
found it
meeting.
odd that they're getting a beer garden license, but no actual beer or liquor license, which was, okay, got it. Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Mark.
I had a question about the licensing. There were, I think, 12 landscape tree people. There was no indication, do they still have to meet an insurance requirement in order to operate a business in our community?
Yes, a license is not issued until we have proof of insurance.
Thank you.
To Bonnie's comment, you will be getting all of that research from the pool committee at the next work session where we're going to discuss all that research. It's pretty extensive amount of research that, that went through that. So we didn't put it all in minutes, but you will be getting that. Yep.
I believe that's the 24th work session. We'll have that presentation.
Excellent. Anything else? Okay, this is a voice vote. So all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Actually, you know what? I should abstain. Thank you.
Okay, on to city council formal items. A, resolution recognizing Thursday, June 27th, 2024 as Sunday Thursday. The recommended action will be a motion to read and adopt the resolution. Ben.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read that for you. Whereas the first ice cream sundae was created in a Two Rivers ice cream parlor by Ed Berners in 1881, and whereas Two Rivers is recognized in the National Register of Historic Places as the birthplace of the ice cream sundae, and whereas the Two Rivers Parks and Recreation Department, along with the entire community, will celebrate the creation of the ice cream sundae on Thursday, June 27th, 2024, with a band concert and old-fashioned ice cream social in Central Park. Music by the Two Rivers Community Band in Central Park on Thursday, June 27th, 6:45 p.m. to 8 p.m. Samples of homemade ice cream, an ice cream sundae eating contest, inflatables and children's games in Central Park on Thursday, June 27th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Thursday, June 27th, 2024 will be designated as Sunday Thursday in Two Rivers in commemoration of the city's contribution to ice cream sundae lovers worldwide, dated this third day of June 2024.
Thank you, Ben. Looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Thank
to
you, Mark.
adopt
Second
the
by
resolution.
Darla. Any discussion? See nothing. Roll call vote. Amanda.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc, Mark Bittner, Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shamulis,
Aye.
Scott Steckmesser.
Aye.
All in favor.
Thank you, Amanda. On to B, purchase of street sweeper. The recommended action will be a motion to purchase the street sweeper from Envirotech Environmental of Lanyon, Wisconsin for $248,000. It was budgeted for $275,000 in the 2024 capital budget. Matt. If there's any background.
We solicited proposals that were opened up and reviewed in the early part of May. Originally received 2 proposals back, and the recommendation at that time was to take and award for the 2024 brand new Butcher City Cat 5006 model number. For an approximate value of $263,000. Last week, the same vendor came back and asked if we would be interested in purchasing their more or less brand new 2023 demonstration model. We actually demonstrated that model at our shop last fall, and obviously they said they would make it well worth our while. Overall, it has more features than what we had specified, and it's a, as mentioned, 2023 model. It comes with the full 2-year warranty that we had requested, and they dropped $15,000 off of that asking price. So with the additional features, it's somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 savings. So the final recommendation is to purchase that 2023 like new street sweeper. Meets all of our other requirements at a cost of $248,000. So it has a suction unit on the back of the sweeper that can help clean off terraces or inlets. So it's not a heavy duty hose, but it does more than what, that was one of the added features that it has. So we, correct.
I have a question. When they said a 2-year warranty, and that starts from when we buy it, that's not left over since it's a.
Correct.
older-
That was one
Okay.
of the provisions that we required was it's, and since the vehicle's never been registered to other than the vendor, the warranty would kick in at the time of this purchase.
Matt, did we get any trade-in value on the existing units, or are we maintaining the existing units?
Right now, we have one mechanical sweeper, and for the time being, we're gonna hold on to that to see how it works in the fall leaf collection. It says that it's gonna be as good or better than the mechanical sweeper, so we'll most likely trade that one in or sell it on auction, I should say. The trade-in value wasn't worth anything.
Any other questions for Matt? If not, looking for a motion. Thank you, Tim. Second by Shannon. Council discussion. Seeing nothing, this will be a roll call vote. Amanda?
Arlo Leclerc,
Aye.
Mark Bittner, Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt, Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Wahusky,
Aye.
all in favor.
Thank you. On to C, lead service lateral sanitary lateral replacement program policy and process. The recommended action will be a motion to approve the policy and process as recommended by the city engineer and the utilities committee. Whoever wants to come up. Andrew's coming up.
So in your packet, you have a memo from Matt Heckenleibel that goes through and states what our new policy will be for lead and sanitary replacements as we go into the future. There's not a lot that has changed as far as how we go out and actually do these inspections. We go orchestrate with the homeowner, with the city and the contractor. We determine what the water material is coming into the home, determine if that needs to be replaced. So we have, as a city, said that lead services or galvanized services have been deemed illegal. This is just keeping up with the EPA and the DNR. If you have copper in your home, you don't need to replace it, or PEX. That stuff can stay. So when we go to your home, we do our inspection. We do the water, and then we do the camera, the sanitary as well at the same time. So this is not when we do road construction projects like Roosevelt. This is our, what we call our scattered program, where we go above and beyond our road construction projects to help get the lead out of the ground. So a few things that have changed a little bit or that we're looking at going forward. So we did, up until this year, this was a voluntary program. We had funding that was available to us in terms of grants and things of that nature that we used to help the homeowner pay for the private side. And then we had some ARPA funds we were kind of using for the public side the last few years. The program, though, was 100% voluntary. This came with some struggles to make it really efficient and be able to do this very cost effectively. We've actually mandated the program now instead of having it being voluntary. So we can go down and we can do both homes on the same, on each side of the road in the same hole where the water main is. This is going to help us control cost and keep things a little bit more manageable. So for this policy going forward, we did keep with the $2,500 just for water service replacements. This is kind of what the city's past practice has been the last several years. It is separated a little bit between the Safe Drinking Water Fund alone and the ARPA funds that we had available yet that we had and that the county's matching. So we're keeping with the $2,500. Going forward, we were asked to look into helping homeowners if the amount was more than that. So it was deemed in the utility committee discussions that above $250 to the private homeowner, we wanted to be able to come up with a 5-year loan program. So you get $2,500 in funding, and then you get, if it's more than an additional $250 from that. So if it's more than $2,750, we've come up with a loan program that's available to the homeowners on a 5-year installment on their taxes, kind of like when we do assessments. You don't have to use it, but it is there if you would like to. Anybody that gets stuck in that $250 or less gap has roughly 90 days to pay after invoice. Everybody over that can either pay it in full or opt into the loan program. So the loan program is 5 years on an annual basis with your taxes. It's at an interest rate of 2.25%. The street portion, which would be from the water main to the emergency curb stop, that's what has always been owned by the public. That portion gets replaced at the utility expense. The concrete replacement associated with that is on the utility. Sidewalk replacements are under the private contract under each homeowner. So if there's concrete work in the sidewalk, that's associated with the estimates that will be given to the homeowners. The only downfall to the program is that we have no money for sanitary line replacements. There's just no funding available for that. One good thing under this policy, though, is that if it is deemed, so when we go do the check at your home, we camera the sewer. If it is clay or if it is in bad condition, it's not mandatory that you have to replace it, but it is encouraged that you do, because that's the best time you're going to get the best deal to replace it. At this juncture, the homeowner owns all the way from the home to the sanitary water main. Under this policy, if it's deemed that you have clay or your sanitary is in bad condition, the sanitary utility will pay for the portion underneath the concrete as part of this program. So the homeowner would only be responsible from where the concrete ends into their home. But there is no funding. So that estimate that the homeowner would get would be due within 90 days after invoice. So when we go to a home and we do we call an inspection, we go through what the water services is, we look at the sanitary, we determine the condition that they're in, and then we give the homeowner an estimate right on the spot. And then usually we ask the homeowner to give us a answer within 10 days when it comes to the sanitary. As far as the water goes, if it is deemed that it is lead or galvanized, it will need to get replaced.
I have a question. Are you going to tell people that if they don't replace it now and something goes wrong in the future, the full cost is on them? I mean, just so they would understand that.
For the sanitary?
Yeah, sanitary.
Yes.
Okay, they would know that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that really, I think that situation applies when there's total street reconstruction. If there's a individual that may have a breakage in the line, particularly the water or the sanitary, is that mandated that it has to be sanitary to be replaced at that time? Or if there's a blockage or something versus the whole street? It's when the whole street's dug up, it's cheaper for the individual homeowners and the city to do everything, provide those services at once, right, at that time?
Yes, if we're doing the whole street, correct.
Right, and that applies to both the water and the sanitary. in the case of if there's an individual that may have a break in the water, and they find that the break is not lead, then they have to fix it, but they don't necessarily have to replace any other pipes from the connection all the way to the house, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the sanitary sewer, if they're not having problems and the street's not being remodeled, they don't have to even worry about that at this point in time, do they?
No, they don't, which is why it's not mandatory, but this is gonna be the cheapest time you're gonna be able to do it.
When the
This is-
street's been on construction, right?
No, when you're doing the water.
When you're doing.
Like if you have a lead service
Right.
and say your sewer's questionable, you don't necessarily, it's not mandatory that you do it, but when they're there with the equipment, this is gonna be the cheapest time to do it, because they actually will do them both at the same time. So they'll pull the sewer and the water line together at one time.
Doesn't that really have a relationship to where the locations of the two pipes are? If they're the distance of.
Yeah, and I was gonna get to that next.
Okay.
Yep. So the only caveat to all that is normally the water and sewer are usually pretty close together. That's not always the case. If it's not the case, then it would be, according to this policy, up to the city to determine if we want to do the sewer at that time or not. So usually we say if they're, within 5 feet or so, that's just what we normally do. But we do get some situations, say like a corner lot where the water may go off of this road, but the sanitary might go off of that road. Those will be determined in the field by city staff.
Okay. Any questions for Andrew? Before we look for a motion, and then we can talk. Okay, no questions for Andrew. Looking for a motion. Thank you, Bill. Second by Tim. Council discussion. Yes, Adam.
I'm not a big fan of it being mandated or forced on people. And I know we got to get the lead out of the ground, but just because one neighbor has the wherewithal to afford it at this time doesn't mean the person across the street necessarily does. We live in a very poor community and people that fall on hard times, and I just don't think that's the right way to go about that. Much like we heard with people with our streets, we've come up with a 5-year street program so we can keep people better informed as to, hey, within the next 5 years, your road's gonna get tore up, and get ready, start saving up money for that. We should probably be using the same approach to this before we just throw it on them and say, hey, you have to get this done and you got to do it now. I'm also not a big fan of us having to bump the percentage up by 2%. I don't know that the city really needs to make money on trying to get the lead out of the ground, which is a benefit for our residents. And again, we don't live in a very wealthy community, and not everyone can just whip out however much you're going to have to pay. What is it? 18 is covered under the safe drinking water. Is that correct?
2,500.
It was 2,500?
2,500.
Okay. So whatever the extra cost from that 2,500 would be. Right, and I don't think we need to make 2% interest on it, is what I'm saying.
I think it's mandated. Yeah. For administration costs, especially going out for 5 years.
And our interest rate in the city, our borrowing ability to borrow is pretty low, favorable than any other alternative a homeowner would have.
But you're mandating it. It's not an option. If you want to borrow money, you have that option. If you want to go buy a new car, house, or whatever it is you want to buy, that's your option. We're not giving them an option. We're mandating. That's where I feel the difference is. We're sticking it on them.
Well, are we really, if we show that there's lead there, then they have an illegal service. But we're not totally forcing them to change it, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on up.
We would be mandating the homeowners to get the lead out in the areas that we pick every year. The reason we did this is because we're trying to utilize the funding the best way we can to give everybody the maximum grant available to this. So if we go into those areas that we've picked out every year and you do have a lead service, you would be mandatory for you to replace it. It wouldn't be mandatory to do the sewer, but it would be for the lead. The reason this is because there is a ruling that's coming up on the EPA that will be out this fall. If that passes, that's actually going to mandate all the leads out in 10 years.
Which
We
I
won't
think
have a
is
choice.
great, but I think we need to have a plan. We're targeting this area here, we're targeting this area, so people know that in advance. Just the spur of the moment, kind of like we hear from street construction. They don't like that. All of a sudden we tell them a month before, hey, your road's getting ripped up this year. Pay the money. They don't like that. We've heard that. Hence the reason we came up with a 5-year road construction plan, so people had better awareness. Now with this, we're going right back to that, saying, pick in your area. Kind of suck it up and deal with it. And I don't like that because we've heard from a lot of citizens with the road construction that absolutely don't like that at all. And people that struggled to pay.
Road construction can be $10,000 or this
Right.
might be 500.
Right, but what do you tell a person that is struggling? That all of a sudden has cancer or anything else that came up out of the blue?
This is a little different though, because this is related to the ARPA money, right? I mean, this is why we're doing it now, because we have that from the county.
Well, we've always been doing it, but it's just.
No,
been
I agree with you. We've always been doing it. It's just that how did you pick people? Did you,
So it was
volunteer?
voluntary, so anybody that
That's what I
called us
thought.
would be able to do
Oh,
it, but we
so
ran
most
into a
of
lot
these
of
are
issues with that as well.
No, yeah.
Almost voluntary.
Can I ask you, did you come up with that 6%? Is that up to you? You know, for like if they need to borrow from the city, how did the 6%
6%
interest
for the
rate?
sanitary lateral
Yeah.
payment,
I think Matt can talk to that.
yeah.
The 6% is actually based upon our current borrowing rate. And that's what we're also using for the Roosevelt Avenue reconstruction project. So it's a carryover borrowing rate. As far as the 2%, yes, that covers our administrative costs. So basically for us to prepare those invoices for the finance department to allow or to place the funds into the county tax roll, things of that nature. So we're really not making money, we're just offsetting costs because we're doing project-related expenses.
So again, my only beef with that though is it's mandated. You're mandating that they do that.
And again, Public Utilities Committee, that's why we looked at the 5-year installment plan on the water services. The water service through the DNR and the Safe Drinking Water Fund created this special fund that we could borrow money as the city. That's why we changed the ordinance about 2 months ago to allow this special fund so that we could borrow the money instead of the water utility borrowing the money. If the water utility borrowed the money and then loaned it out, we would have to get PSC approval. So this is creating that borrowing lending opportunity. And that's why the percentage on the water service side is 0.25. That is what we're being told. We haven't finalized those numbers. So I'm saying somewhere between 0.25 and 0.5, which is still an extremely great rate, even with the 2% overhead or the administrative costs that we would be adding on. As far as the sanitary laterals, that is a optional cost, so to speak. We will cover those costs within the underneath the pavement. If the homeowner chooses not to do the sanitary service or lateral at this time, that is their choice. If, as was mentioned, that sanitary lateral in staff's opinion is not reasonably close, and homeowner chooses not to have it replaced, their expense would be 100% from the main to the home at some later date.
And if I'm a homeowner and I'm hooked up to our city utilities, this will only occur, from my knowledge, I think, 1 or 2 times. Number one, if I have, and talking about water now, if I have a breakage in my line in front of my house and the city has to come out and repair it, they'll look at that line and determine if it's lead or non-lead. And if it is lead, then I'm mandated to replace the system because it's broken, because the city's going to go and dig up in front of my house and they're mandating me to fix it as lead, right?
If the water service from the curb stop to the house is lead or galvanized iron, the water utility would mandate that that service be replaced as a legal service.
Sure.
If that happened to be from the water main to the water shutoff, the curb stop, the water utility would pay for that cost, and they would take a look at the service from the curb stop to the house and again determine whether or not that was lead or an illegal service. If it was, it would be mandated to be corrected because we cannot connect our system to a defective system. If it was already a legal, we would just fix the portion in the streets, basically.
But the leakage triggers the action, right? So
That would trigger
that's one
an action.
The
Yep.
second thing that triggers the action is street reconstruction. When our maintenance of a street, when we're tearing up the entire street, it's the most cost-efficient time for the city and the homeowners to address the future legislative federal requirements of lead. And that's when that will trigger the implementation of reviewing the water line hookup. And if it's lead, then this policy kicks in, supports up to the $2,500. And
that was the original 2 road construction and a leak. The third option now is what we're doing with this scattered lateral contract and systematically going down block by block and calling it maintenance of our system and determining whether or not we have defective water services. And to address where we were, where we're looking at doing this scattered lateral, originally when we tried getting safe drinking water and clean water funds, we were targeting, so to speak, the south portion of the city, primarily the Lowell to 12th, 13th, all the way to Memorial Drive, thinking that was going to be the best utilization of the remaining ARPA funds. However, when we received our award notices for our safe drinking and clean water funds, we had limited principal forgiveness. So we looked at this loan program and are now looking at areas to the near north in various areas. That census tract area would get 0 principal forgiveness. So if we targeted this area under normal circumstances and didn't have ARPA funds, we would have no funds available for the $2,500 grant for the water services. So we're trying to utilize optimize the use of the ARPA funds available to us and help continue offset those water service costs with those funds.
I missed that third part because then it's breakage, construction, or targeted.
Well, breakage, road construction, or maintenance, as
Right.
Tim had said.
Okay, and then targeted areas.
That basically we're systematically working an area. So if you want to call it targeted, a high priority area.
But you're systematically working in that area, not because of determined pipe here, because the road is in desire need of maintenance of some sort, right?
It's a high need area to get the lead out. So it's a high probability of concentrated lead services, so we can keep our costs down and keep the contractors systematically moving forward.
So how far in advance are we communicating the areas that we'll target or work on for maintenance purposes to the committee?
We've been telling the committee where we're intending on going, originally last fall, and then we had to switch gears. So we haven't been as proactive as we would have liked. We were in the process prior to getting the DNR funding notice of getting letters ready for the south side. And with the north side, we're delinquent. So
I think that question needs to be reviewed a little bit, because that reinforces Adam's point. That is mandating if we pick that area. And I'd be supportive of, we have to do it. It's for safety for the citizens, everybody involved, but we should at least give them as much advance notice as possible so they can financially prepare for that additional cost if it does occur.
I totally agree with that, and we are delinquent and I'm sure we will get a lot of negative feedback because of it. But also taking a look at the estimated cost for the water service for a standard length throughout our estimate when we awarded the contract at the last meeting, the estimated cost for a private side water service was $2,900. So take off the $2,500, so you're under $500 per water service. So that potentially is their out-of-pocket cost. Now, granted, some people may not be able to afford it, but the area that we are looking at, again, is a area where we would have gotten zero principal forgiveness on any of our safe drinking or clear water funds. So it's the best utilization of the remaining ARPA. The area in the near south that I was describing earlier is in an area where we would get 75% principal forgiveness on these funds. So by utilizing the same dollars, those principal forgiveness dollars will make up the majority of the offsetting $2,500 grant.
I agree with the concept. You're right. It's good use of the money. But my point is, are we telling those people that it's coming in case they're, and that's why we need to do, communicate them so there's no surprises.
You're not going to hear negativity from myself on that, but we are delinquent on getting that information, specific information. Now, we do have on our city projects page website, the area defined, and that's been out there for months. But we have not made physical contact with these property owners yet.
So
$500 over what they would receive towards it. If it was a $3,000 service, the payment would be $8.82 a month, which we worked as hard as we could to get it as cheap for someone as.
No, it's a good use of free money from the state, the assistance we have for the homeowners. My point is, I just think we need to let them know soon. $8 a month, additional month is a lot of money for some situations, and it's a lot of money to lose at $2,500. But you know, it's our responsibility to communicate as far ahead and tell them this street specifically. Now we're going to do it. It's specifically we're going to work here and identify the areas we're going to work on.
And that was our intent going into last fall. Again, we just bid the contract and we were looking at getting that information out to the residents in the Southwest because we needed to change directions and develop this program. I'm going to say we're going on the fly, and yes, we're delinquent on getting that notification out, the direct notification out.
Go ahead, Adam.
I think we should have it voluntary this year and look to mandate it years out with a plan in front of us that targets these set areas of lead so that the people know in advance. I know we've done voluntary before, and maybe your targeted areas could be a voluntary area, but I don't think we should mandate it on them on the fly like this. And it may be out on the website. Obviously, you're not lying, but I can tell you I've never gone on there to check. as a person that's at least involved in city government, if I'm not checking, I would highly doubt any lay citizen is out there checking either.
Well, I'm speaking for Andrew, getting the voluntary connections that we have in the past, 1 out of every 50 that we solicited may have opted in for the voluntary. So because of the ARPA funds and the expenditure deadline on the ARPA funds, we need to move forward, or we lose out on.
What's the deadline on the ARPA funds?
We need to have them basically encumbered by the end of this year and expended by the end of December of next year. Or we lose out on almost $2 million.
I can guarantee you that if we make it voluntary, we will never use up the ARPA money. We couldn't get 50 people in 2022 to sign up. So that's why we instituted the mandatory program. Because nobody wants to take on the headache of doing it.
And there might be people out there that truly can't afford it. I mean, that is a real thing. I hear from people all the time.
And that's where we came up with the loan program, low interest loan, 5-year payment plan. And that's why the utilities committee went down that route.
But if we don't mandate, it's a tricky situation. We can penalize the whole water system, because if they're one of the test points, that would jeopardize the whole overall quality of the city, right? If that one of those people refuses to participate and they have lead, and they're one of the test points of the water, it indicates lead, and it might not be true for the rest of the city. So it's something we need to do. Is that a yes or no?
Yes, we have to get the lead out.
Okay.
Now, the way the contract was bid, it is this systematic approach. If we start scattering it throughout the whole entire city, the construction, basically, we just entered into a potential change order system with the contractor.
So I'm new to city council, so I might be stepping on things I shouldn't do it. If we've got the money to do it, and we need to use the money, so citizens aren't charged with the extra cost, and the extra money is available to the end of next year if we don't use it. Are we communicating enough to the area and the citizens of the city that they gotta do this because it's federally mandated? It's good for everybody who drinks water in Two Rivers, and there's money available. If we don't use it, you lose it. Have we communicated that effectively?
I would say we have. I mean, it's been out on social media multiple times. It's been in the mailers. I mean, we've knocked on doors. I would say that we have done that approach.
We have mailed letters to the targeted areas we want to work on and tell them that here's the problem and here's the opportunity to save 2,500. If you don't do it, you lose it. And is that?
We haven't sent, I mean, we've sent them citywide many times.
Okay.
We haven't targeted where we're going this year. And again, we are delinquent on that, but it's because the funding and things change that we are behind.
Oh, we have a policy really in place too, to utilize the funding, right? At that point?
Yes.
Okay.
For the most part, the policy, the program has been, this is an extension of what has been done in the past. The only exception is over that $2,500 to $2,750, the homeowner must pay that up front.
Right.
If it is over that $2,750 amount, they have the option to fund or finance that $251 to $500 estimate over a 5-year period. And that would be rolled onto their taxes at that 2.25% interest rate.
There is also on the last paragraph of the last page of your memo, the community development block grant funding, which is for low income. That is information we also give out at the time that we do the estimates. The salaries are right on there. If people qualify for that, we urge them to call there because it will pay the rest of their remaining bill.
I think it's a great program and it's something we need to do as a community. But my point is, to reinforce Anna's point, is as long as we communicate as far as possible ahead of time of the targeted homes that have been occurred, it's not so much a mandated implementation, it's a awareness of reality, and they're save for it or plan for it. That's where I'm.
And again, we totally agree, because of the changing funding, changing of the program. We're moving along as quickly as possible. Next year's program is the near south that I described earlier, and then we'll be looking further to the south, basically Lowell to Columbus as our next area. And ultimately, as Andrew had stated, if that EPA mandate comes through, we have 10 more years to get the lead out at an approximate expense of $10 million. That's $1 million of out-of-pocket expense for the water utility alone. And then we have to figure out how to fund the private side. And that funding stream potentially is drying up in 2027, 2028. So we'll have another hurdle to cross in approximately 4 years.
And the problem with that is in 4 years, we have no idea what the funding looks like. So we would rather know what the funding looks like so we can best utilize it in certain areas around the city, which is what we did this year, but it put us way behind the 8 ball notifying.
And knowing what the funding is also benefits the community too, who are impacted by this.
Right, but it's very hard to go all 5, 6 years and we don't know what that funding looks like. Because we don't know where we're gonna go.
Well, right now, our timeline, you told me, is the end of next year, right? That's right.
That is to expend all the ARPA funds.
So I guess if we're comfortable that we're at the end of this year, we should identify what we want, where we're going to go. And we've communicated to those people that this is the reality of the situation. This is where we're coming. They're aware of this, and it's not so much mandating. At least we're giving them perhaps 18 months notice, or we can't work in wintertime, but we're giving at least advance notice it's coming. And as long as the advance notice is issued, I'd be more comfortable with this.
But they've been doing scattered lead laterals for over 4 years.
Right.
And it's been in everybody's mailer for that you would.
Yeah, but that's.
If you have a new house,
Yeah.
you know you don't have it, so they don't look at the bill.
Yeah.
If you're someone who lives in an old house that may have looked and go, oh, I might be questionable, they would call and ask, or it's not that nobody's known about this.
I mean, going back, looking at history, when it was originally voluntary, we had a lot of people hook up until we went in, did the inspections. Then they said, I don't want to expend this money. And that's when they dropped out, including the $2,500. And then Andrew literally had to go back through the list multiple times and try and get people to sign up. And it was weeks of man hours trying to get 50 services so we could utilize some safe drinking water funds in 2021, 2022, or else we would have lost out on those dollars. So again, we acknowledge that we are behind the gun 8 ball on notifying the current area that we're looking at doing these water services in. I have the letter 95% drafted, and it's just a matter of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything is correct, making sure that the interest is finalized, and then we can send those letters out and start doing those inspections and moving the project forward. If we wait on that, again, now we're taking 300 water services to do over 2 years, the remainder of 2024 and 2025, and potentially compressing that into 1 year. Again, that's not how the contract was put together or bid. So.
I just have one quick question. The $250, the difference, why is that required to be paid off in 90 days?
It is, I mean, basically, it's been a, from the time of invoice, it needs to be paid in a reasonable amount of time. Typically, it was, invoices would come out in September, October, and we would require them to have it paid off, by the end of the year. So again, about a 60 to 90 day window.
I guess, let me rephrase it then. Why couldn't the homeowner add that $250 to the loan that they're taking out?
They can, if it's over $250, that can be, that is part of the loan program.
Okay.
So it's the dollar value of $249.99 that has to be paid off in full in 90 days.
Why does that have to be? Why couldn't they,
That is-
why couldn't the city loan them the $249.99?
The Utilities Committee opted to go with $250 as the low end of the limit. So that
Good
is
loan.
set by
Makes sense
committee.
loan.
Not that someone took out a loan for $10, that's the market. Because it used to be 500 and we got them to lower it to 250.
Added the interest rate too.
Gotcha, okay. Anything else? Okay, seeing nothing, this is a roll call vote.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Shannon Derby,
I,
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shimalunas,
I,
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
No.
Darla Leclerc. Motion carries 8-1.
Thank you. Excellent discussion. On to D, recommendation to close City Hall and other departments on Friday, July 5th, 2024, in observance of Independence Day extended holiday weekend. The recommended action will be a motion to close City Hall and other departments on July 5th, 2024, with provision that employees wishing to be paid for this day must use vacation leave. Ben?
Yeah, so this came up last year as well. Last year it was, there's a little correction in that memo, but Monday, July 3rd, 2023, with Independence Day following on the Tuesday. So we looked at that last year, and both in a way to save City Hall some money because relatively few people come to City Hall during a long holiday break. And then also give the city employees a little bit of a benefit with either taking vacation time during that time and having all of City Hall closed, or taking no pay for that day. In this case, it's just a little bit different in that it's the end of the week. However, the same issues would apply. We'll get relatively little traffic. And this is only for like customer service. This isn't for police department, things of those nature. We're still open, obviously. And it doesn't affect the library or other places in the city. Strictly for City Hall. The other difference is that we're on summer hours, so this would be a half day rather than even a full day.
Looking for a motion. Motion by Darrell, second by Doug. Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be an all in favor. So all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for that. On to E, consideration of amended and restated tax incremental financing, property sale, cash grant, and developers performance agreement regarding multifamily development by the Confluence LLC at the East Twin River, prepared per direction by City Council at the April 29th, 2024 work session. The recommended action will be a motion to authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. Jack, I think this is you.
I didn't know that, but
Ben, this is you.
Well, in essence, I just
I'm
said Jack
happy
could probably
happy
speak
to
to the change in the language.
Yeah.
In essence, it's moving the deadlines of the agreement.
that's essentially it, although there is a provision to incorporate a $30,000 payment as consideration for the granting of the extension. An amended and restated agreement, in case you're curious about why it's called that, is an agreement that's typically entered into when there have been so many amendments to an agreement that it becomes difficult or confusing. to determine exactly what the ultimate agreement is, given all of those amendments. So it essentially incorporates prior amendments and the original agreement. And you have a single document with which you can deal instead of several documents. So that's why an amended and restated agreement is typically used. Otherwise, it's true, there has been an extension of the deadlines in consideration for a $30,000 payment.
When is that $30,000 payment due?
He's at timeline date. Sign it.
That's what I would assume, yeah.
I think so, but I'd have to verify that. I'm just trying to find the agreement. Okay, here we go.
Boundaries of the, have, puts teeth into it. If they don't, it's $30,000 fee. Otherwise, we're letting them have our property for.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, I was just curious when they have to pay that fee. I would assume it'd be when they sign it or.
June 21st? Under the TIF grant payment deadlines, it has fully signed signatures of agreements, certified check, amount of $30,000 as addressed in section A. Agreement provides back-to-back to city by June 21st, 2024.
Of the developer, right? Not refundable and shall not be credited against future costs. Looks like by 31st, is that what you said, or June 3rd? I'm looking for June 31st.
Under the effectiveness of this agreement, it has like a little subparagraph under the TIF payment line.
What page is that on? I'm sorry.
It says 178 on mine, or page 4, possibly of individual.
I
Yep,
see.
there it is.
June 21st.
Okay. How's that, Jack? Questions for Jack?
Yes.
Go for it.
On the cover page, I would imagine it is. It shows page 174 for me. But I think it's the cover page that has the picture and then the very next page. Do you have that? Or is that just part of mine?
That was the memo. I think it was right. Yeah, just the
Next one. Right there.
Have the numbering.
So it says, in the first paragraph, it says, developer to pay either $30,000 non-refundable deposit toward the land purchase or a $30,000 option fee to extend its option on the property. I thought we put that as solely a $30,000 non-refundable, not going towards the deposit of the land. It was $30,000. They're essentially giving to us to hold the property for them. It's not going towards anything. They are not getting that towards the purchase of the property whatsoever. That area?
I see it in the memo.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that's
Yeah.
translating into the agreement because it says it both ways there.
I think that's because first it
Understand.
mentions that that was the developer's proposal and then the staff had recommended directing the city attorney to draft it up. See how it's different there for the $30,000?
Yeah, but I want to make sure that because both of them are there, that is
Yeah, I understand.
specifically said in that agreement. And I didn't look through the whole agreement.
Understandable.
I thought it's Oh, I'm sorry, but I thought it said somewhere that he doesn't get the 30,000 back.
Right, but I'm trying to see where that is.
Oh.
Cause I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
see
think
it.
I made a note.
Like, isn't that clarifying in the
It's right
agreement
here.
that they'll sign? Authorizing the city manager to
Oh, I see.
do it? And that's what Pete just mentioned on page 4, right?
Yeah, that certainly is what it states.
Non-refundable.
Right,
And I'm trying to
They'd be able to
see,
get
I'm
any
not
type of
aware of
refund at all.
anything indicating.
but
that's
non-refundable
an
can
option.
just solely mean that it can go towards the purchase of the property though. Cause we're still not refunding, it's going towards a purchase. We've done that for like,
That, then we're refunding part of
yeah, cause we've done that towards the Paragon property as well. We made it non-refundable, but it can go against the purchase of the property. And we have it in the memo as being both ways. So I want to make sure that it is clear,
it. Acknowledge it with that.
right, that it is not going.
The option,
Non-refundable could mean if you walk away from it, you don't get it.
Here it
But if you
says
purchase-
he has the option of non-refundable or, option. What does, I don't know what that means, a $30,000 option fee
That's the
to
memo.
what?
I think
I
that's
think
the
that's
the
memo.
memo.
That's not in the agreement.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
It says in
Okay.
the obligations of the developer, it says just that. It says consideration for agreement and consideration for the city's agreement to enter into this agreement and to provide the developer with certain rights relative to the development site as stated herein. The developer agrees to pay the city the sum of $30,000. This amount shall not be refundable and shall not be credited against future costs incurred by the
Perfect.
developer in connection with the project.
That's what I wanted. Okay,
Okay, what
perfect.
page is
That's
that?
what I was looking for. What page was that, Ben?
You waited until I closed it up. I think it was 3A is
That
what
was
it's under.
good timing, wasn't it?
It's under 3A.
yeah, that's the language I think that satisfies or addresses your question, Adams.
Okay, perfect. That's what I wanted.
I'm glad I could do something.
Good work.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jack, that you wish to add? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. Adam has his hand up right away, second by Tim. Any council discussion?
Yeah.
Yes, Bonnie?
I'm not gonna vote for this because, I don't know, he's just had so many chances. And then when it said F, it said, this, to secure private funding, but I didn't see any exhibit of it. I don't know if I missed it, but for his part.
It should really say that he's, I think it did. Trying to secure or
Well, I know, but it doesn't mean well, to me, when it said, secure private funding, but it doesn't, he's been trying to do that now for 2 years, right? Is that how long this has been going on?
I think that's why we're taking the $30,000 and that gets him to his next date that he has to complete this by in accordance with the memo. He's got the dates as to when he has to secure that financing, give us his, the people that are in his group and then actually start, construction and then project completion.
That's what it's really looking to get is
You're
that
right.
deadline hammered out.
Yep. So he's got that deadline and he's got $30,000 that allows him to hold that property that we will not try to sell it. We will not market it. For that,
Is there a timeline on that?
yes, I believe
July,
it's 3.
July 31st. He has to have his final project plan, cost estimate, and financing commitments.
So then he's
This
got
year.
2 months, basically.
Yep. So if he decides to back out or doesn't get that, he loses 30,000. Either which way, he's losing 30,000.
So then in 2 months, we can at least start
Market
on
it.
We
something?
can market it to anybody.
All right.
And in fairness, the interest rates have been climbing ever since he.
They're not going down.
No.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing nothing, this will be a roll call vote. Amanda?
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc, Mark Bittner, Shannon Derby. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you all for that. Information only. We have a city council regular meeting on Monday, June 17th at 6 PM. And a city council work session meeting Monday, June 24th at 6 PM. Public Works is canceled for tomorrow. Bill and Doug. I don't know if you saw that. Public Works canceled. And that is it. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Bill. Second by Shannon. Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried and good night. Thank you.